Guyana now seeking Canadian visas. Fire guts warehouse on the East Coast. And Exxon looking for insurance in Guyana. I am Enrico Polford, and this is Uncut News. News seen what's happening? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at 592-659-6151. Canadian envoy Mark Berman has announced that the High Commission in Georgetown is pushing for a Canadian airline to offer non-stop services between the two nations. Air Canada is one of the airlines being considered. Berman subsequently told reporters that Guyana and Canada are also discussing the possibility of visa-free travel between the two nations. Now, if we could just work on the American visa next. Meanwhile, the Finance Ministry met with officials from the UK's Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, during which they laid out the current government's developmental plans for Guyana. They are discussing how the UK could partner with Guyana to increase mobilization of development support. According to a press release from the Finance Ministry, Minister Ashni Singh detailed the government's plans to utilize the nation's oil revenue to diversify its non-oil economy, and how they plan to invest in the nation's citizens by developing agriculture, transport infrastructure, energy infrastructure, roads, bridges, schools, and hospitals. Yesterday, a massive fire destroyed the bond behind the Z. Mohammed & Sons hardware store in Felicity, East Coast, Demerara. Minister Ben explained that the fire was difficult to extinguish because the barn houses numerous combustible materials. Also, firefighters were delayed by heavy traffic on the East Coast. The blaze caused millions of dollars in damage. Nevertheless, the owner of the store says he's eager to rebuild and build back better. Well, I'll give him points for optimism, that's great. Minibus driver and part-time cop abuser Okimi Harry appeared in court today, where he was slapped with 13 charges. He was charged with failure to wear a seatbelt, failure to carry a conductor, having tinted glass on a minibus, failure to behave in a civil and orderly manner, 2 charges of assault of a peace officer, damage to property, use of indecent language, disorderly behavior, careless driving, and failure to comply with police directions. He pleaded not guilty to the charges. The police said 2 days before the incident, he was pulled aside for failure to wear a seatbelt, and he drove away from those officers. While the prosecution objected to bail, the magistrate granted bail in the sum of $150,000 and ordered the accused to return to court on the 19th of December. Sri Lankan construction firm Renewable PLC has been awarded a US $12.85 million contract to construct the 1.5 megawatt Kumu and 0.7 megawatt Muckamucka hydropower plant in Region 9. The Chinese government had previously funded a plant that was commissioned in 1999 at Muckamucka. However, it was damaged just 4 years in and has been defunct ever since. The US $3.9 million hydropower plant at the Kumu waterfalls is expected to last 30 years once a rigid maintenance program is employed. Also, the 2 projects will provide the Latam grid with 100% renewable energy by 2024. It's November, which means it's officially robbery season. That's why you need to get security for your home and business through Sheriff Security Service. Sheriff Security offers well-trained guards, armed and unarmed patrol, marine patrol, K9 services. These people even have drones. Why? Because your security is their highest priority. You've seen the rest. Now hire the best. Hire Sheriff Security Service today. Now it's time to tell you about Best Buy's Car of the Week. Currently on sale is this 2016 Toyota Crown Athlete. It comes with Bluetooth mount rims, new tires, TV, CD, stereo fog lamps, back camera, and much, much more. Buy cash for $9.95 million, or pay as low as $1.99 million down, with around $170,000 monthly for 5 years, and it is yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info. Visit the showrooms at 171 Peter Street, Queenstown, a lot to Amashi, and Southern America sent you for this sweet deal. A barge transporting fuel, explosives, and a truck belonging to Zijin Mining Inc., a Chinese company, sank in the Guyana River in Region 7 on Sunday. According to Kaija News, the barge sank Sunday morning near to Pier Landing, located close to the company's operations at Aurora Gold Mines. Zijin Mining Inc. is the company that bought Aurora Gold Mines from the Canadian company. However, it is unclear if anyone was on board the vessel and what caused it to sink. Efforts are being made to recover the fuel and the truck. Over in the Diaspora, Louise Blenheim has just been appointed as Belize's first Chief Justice of the Court of Appeal. Her additional scope of responsibility comes just over 2 months after she was sworn in as Belize's Chief Justice of the High Court. Justice Blenheim is a Guyanese national who graduated from the University of West Indies in 1986 with a Bachelor of Laws degree. She later obtained the Legal Education Certificate from the Hugh Wooding Law School in Trinidad in 1988. and she has worked in various judicial capacities throughout the Caribbean ever since. And on a less positive note in the diaspora, a Guyanese home health aide in the US has been jailed for 57 months for stealing savings bonds from an elderly woman. 52-year-old Jani Singh, also known as Jasmine, and Sharmala Prasad of Queens, New York, faced a court in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where she was sentenced to 57 months imprisonment for stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars in US savings bonds from the elderly woman who had purchased them for her grandchildren and other family members. Yes, I know there's a lack of photos of her, but that's because the US is a little different when it comes to such convictions. Aimed at further strengthening family relations, the Guyana Prison Service Christmas Family Bonding Visits Initiative will commence on December 5th at all prisons nationwide. Director of Prisons Nick Lon Elliott says the aim of the visits is to help families to further reconnect in a positive way during the festive season. During the visits, family members will be allowed to have a meal with their loved ones and at the same time share a few extra minutes with them. The visits will conclude on the 11th of December. So if you've got family behind bars you'd like to visit, you can contact the officer in charge at the relevant prison for further information. Now for today's oil update. ExxonMobil is on the hunt for local companies that are capable of providing insurance for its US $10 billion Yellowtail project, as well as its US $2.2 billion gas-to-energy project. The coverage is expected to be from February 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2026. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be 2023, but they wrote 2022, so that's the number I'm going with. For the gas-to-energy project, Exxon is desirous of having an insurance company cover the pipeline itself and all related assets. More importantly, it's also seeking providers for an operator's extra expense policy. This is to cover costs pertaining to the control of the wells and seepage. It also seeks a general third-party liability policy to cover sudden and unforeseen pollution, along with any other liabilities.
As an independent online news entity, being politically objective can cost you a lot of money in lost sponsorship opportunities. That's because most local companies are often too scared to associate themselves with a news entity that is uncompromising with the truth. We do appreciate our sponsors, as their support is what has allowed us to maintain our integrity without fear and remain dedicated to you, our viewers. Every night, thousands of viewers rely on Uncut News because they are tired of the biased and poorly presented mainstream media in Guyana. But to truly compete, we need your help to grow Uncut News from being the most watched online news to the most watched news in Guyana, period. Help us by becoming a monthly subscriber today. There are special rewards at every subscription level, including your name in the credits, personalized gifts, and more. Your monthly contribution helps us to stay independent by spending less time worrying about paying the bills and more time on keeping you informed. So click the link in the description of this video and become a subscriber today.
Attention truck owners, if you're not shopping at Powered Automotive, you're wasting your money. Powered Automotive has all the major parts for all models of DAF, Freightliner, Mach, International, and more. No need to knock your belly here. They have all the parts you need at prices you can afford. Visit them at Lot 491 EE Eccles, or call or WhatsApp them on telephone number 697-0171. Save big on truck parts at Powered Automotive, the #1 heavy-duty truck parts store in Guyana. You can multiply your cash by selling Digicel Top-Up. This is a legit way you can earn some extra money at your business or to supplement your current hustle. Become a top-up vendor quick and easy by linking with Cellular Plus. Call them on telephone number 685-3109 for more info. Now for our Uncut News Views Poll question of the day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Guyana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. Last night I asked, what should we do about all these civilian assaults on police officers? George Chet says, given the nature of bus drivers and even some private vehicle drivers, traffic ranks will always have the risk of running into a confrontation, whether it be verbal or physical. Drivers need to understand that their driver's license does not belong to them. It is the property of the Republic of Guyana. If an officer demands it, you must hand it over. The only way I see them deterring drivers from confronting traffic officers is to either have them armed with non-lethal force and also to give perpetrators jail time with a substantial fine. I mean, and I agree. I feel like they just need to give these officers maybe some Krav Maga or some jiu-jitsu training or something. Some sort of martial arts so they can really take folks down. But also people need to learn not to fight these officers. Jay Jiram says, developing clear written policies and procedures that draw the line and make it clear to the citizens and the community what behaviors are and are not acceptable when dealing with the police. People who abuse officers should be made to work at police stations for free as a form of punishment. Violations of policies must be followed up with disciplinary action. I like that idea. I really do. Lash says, training officers to be pleasant for one. Oh, no, honestly, they really do have an attitude problem within the police. That is one thing I'll give you. They need to fix that. Anyway, Lash says, I don't think anyone can say that they've had a pleasant exchange with a police officer without passing a Granger. Ah, I agree. Not everyone has the tolerance or patience to deal with the corruption on the roadways. The popes need proper de-escalation training. As for road users, learn about traffic rules. The popes can't style you at all if you know the road rules, because many of them don't even know it themselves. I like that idea as well. I feel you're absolutely right. Guyette says, so many criticize the civilian, the ordinary man. But what led to this which deemed as many as police being assaulted? Many police officers behave as though they own the people. Police courtesy and honesty are lacking, even among upper ranks. Unfortunately, I also have to agree with that. I remember when one police commissioner once told me over the phone that he didn't have to explain anything to me as a journalist. And finally, Everett Lawrence says, stop harassing the public for bribes and speak to the public politely when interacting with the public. However, they are not in agreement with assault to the peace officers. Indeed, I think we can all agree that they need to adjust their attitudes in the police force, and they need to stop taking bribes, but also people need to stop their lawless behavior. It goes both ways. Now for tonight's question. It looks like Guyana is now opening up to international investors at a fairly rapid pace given the past 2 years. So how do you feel about the rate at which we're going? Is it too fast or is it too slow? Is it too all over the place for you? I really want to know. So think about that question. Tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in our next episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight, and check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm Rico Bullfoot saying good night, folks.